يحكم الله وهو خير الحاكمين. سورة هود عليه السلام مكية 121 آية. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام را. كتاب حكمت آياته ثم فصلت من لدن حكيم خبير. ألا تعبدوا إلا الله إنني لكم منه نذير وبشير. وأن استغفروا ربكم ثم توبوا إليه يمتعكم متاعا حسنا إلى أجل مسمى ويؤت كل ذي فضل فضله. فإن تولوا فإني أخاف عليكم عذاب يوم كبير. إلى الله مرجعكم وهو على كل شيء قدير. ألا إنهم يثنون صدورهم ليلتقموا منه. ألا حين يتغشون ثيابهم يعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون. وما من دابة في الأرض إلا على الله رزقها ويعلم مستقرها ومستودعها كل في كتاب مبين. وهو الذي خلق السماوات والأرض في 6 أيام وكان عرشه على الماء ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. ولئن قلت إنكم مبعوثون من بعد الموت ليقولن الذين كفروا إن هذا إلا سحر مبين. ولئن أخذنا عنهم العذاب إلى أمة معدودة ليقولن ما يحبسون. ألا يوم يأتيهم ليس مصروفا عنهم وحاق بهم ما كانوا به يستهزئون.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الزواج سبيلا للعفة والحصاد وأمر المسلمين بتيسير طرقه وأسبابه ووعد الراغبين فيه بجزاء حسن. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله. أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we thank the Almighty Allah for giving us another opportunity to be here today. We thank Him for His mercies that He's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and His messenger. Whosoever the Almighty Allah guides is really guided, and whosoever goes astray has nobody to blame but themselves. Alhamdulillah, today is the 19th day of Shawwal, 1441 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which also corresponds with the 11th day of June 2020. It's been almost 3 weeks after Ramadan, and it has been a topsy-turvy Ramadan for all of us, because this year's Ramadan was something very, very different from the norm that we used to know. But Alhamdulillah, it is a whole new experience for us. At least we'll get to tell our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren that some time ago we witnessed something like this. And I believe it's also another opportunity for us to recheck ourselves and see how best we were able to, sustain whatever we learned in the month of Ramadan. It's very important that we continue with the kind of good deeds and then the kind of good habits that we developed in the month of Ramadan. It's very important. But today we're just going to talk about something different. The Muslim marriage and Divorce Bill 2017. I first got to, know about this bill, I think a year or so. There's a friend on Facebook here called Shafiq Kwabna Usman. I think he's a law student. And Shafiq posted this, issue on Facebook that there's a need for us to have a look at the Muslim Marriage and Divorce Bill of 2017 that was being drafted at that time. I think it was even drafted. And as a law student, he got, a gist of that. But most of us didn't, have time to look at that bill and see. But the recent events, involving my elder brother, Sheikh Anas, and then Justice Tanko, brought to light the Muslim Marriage and Divorce Bill. I think it is a good opportunity for us Muslims in Ghana. This bill, it's a very, very good opportunity. It is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, I support this bill, and I think we must push it. I think we must support it. This is not the job of only my elder brother Anas. No. He's not the only Muslim, and he's not the only one who is going to benefit or enjoy from it. It's all of us. So I think let's all join hands in promoting, this bill and then getting it passed. It's very, very important. If you go through the bill, you find out that there are very, very, serious issues in there. Even though there are some aspects that definitely we also, disagree with. It's natural. And we are not here to dissect the bill and then, find problems with the bill. No, that's not what I'm going to do. I just want to, bring our minds to some issues within the bill that I think we all have to look at very, very well. And then also give our inputs to the necessary, officers for them to have a look at them, because it's very, very important that we do that. Because, fine tuning it and then trying to, make it look better is for all of us. It is not the monopoly of, some communities and other communities might not enjoy. I followed the debates on social media concerning the marriage bill, and some people were saying that who did they consult before, writing the bill. Fine, you are entitled to an opinion as to who they consulted, but I believe that it's not the time for us to, ask who did they consult, was the person credible. I think it's a public document, so if there are issues in that go against the Sharia, it's public document and we'll have to look at it and then tackle it in the right way. So it's very important. My sheikhs are around. I always say this, I'm a student, I'm still learning. And I know, efforts are being made by people in higher authorities in trying to get this bill enacted. And I think it is a good opportunity for us, looking at the euphoria of what happened with the vetting of Justice Tanko. I think it's another opportunity. The Arab call it irhasat. It's another opportunity for us to get things done rightly as Muslims. It's very important. As I said in one of my videos, the Almighty Allah sends us opportunities, Muslims in Ghana, as alamat, signs that we need to get our acts right. He wouldn't come down to come and shift things. No, he sends the signs. It's upon us to understand them, pick them, and then make good use of them. But if after all these things that are happening, we fold our arms and then go back to square one, then we don't have anybody to blame but ourselves. Because the Almighty Allah has given us all these, signs, all these opportunities for us to make good use of it. And I think it's high time we wake up, open our eyes to the realities on the ground, and then make good use of it. I went through the bill. I read it a couple of times to understand it and to look at one or two things that I might add to it, and also see how best we can also push it for it to be, passed. The Marriage Ordinance of 1884, Cap 127, dealt with Christian marriages in Ghana. The Customary Marriage and Divorce Registration Act of 1885 dealt with, traditional marriages, people who were not Christians. And I think it was repealed by the PNDC Law 112. The Marriage of Mohammedan Ordinance of 1907, Cap 129, dealt with Muslim marriages. So if you go into the law books of Ghana, we have these three forms of, laws governing marriages and divorces. The Marriage Ordinance of 1884, Cap 127, the Customary Marriage and Divorce Registration Act of 1885, that is vis-a-vis PNDC Law 112, and then the Marriage of Mohammedan Ordinance of 1907, Cap 129. So, as far as 1907, the colonial government there saw the need to put in a law that will help Muslims in terms of our marriages and then our divorces and other stuff like that. So it's been there. But then the law books said the marriage of the Mohammedan Ordinance had some problems with it. That is, even though it is a means of proving Muslim marriage and divorce, but then procedures of registration and consequences of non-compliance with the law was a problem. How many of us Muslims get married and then we register our marriages? It's a few. So, compliance with the law also is a problem. Even though the colonial government put in place all these, parameters to allow us to register our marriages, it's only a few people who, registered. So there was non-compliance with the law. And actually, the law was not known to many Muslims or even to the legal profession. The law that Muslims can register their marriages, they must register their marriages, register their divorces, was not known to many Muslims. Yes, it is true. It is not an indictment to us Muslims, but that's the reality. It was not known to a lot of us. I personally didn't know it 10 years ago that there was a specific law in our law books that told Muslims they need to register their marriages and their divorce. I only studied interstate succession law, PNDC law 111 in JSS, social studies. That's the only thing we knew. I knew. That's the only thing I know. So let me use me, not general. And then the preamble in the law is telling us that there are a lot of, people in the legal profession who do not know that there is a law like this governing Muslims. So what next to do? They said the original section of Section 10 of the Cap 129 made it, possible to share estates according to Islamic law. The original law, the law of 1907, made it possible that if a Muslim dies intestate, in the law books when they say when someone dies intestate, it means the person died without leaving behind a will. In the original law of 1907, when a Muslim dies without making any will, automatically his estate is being shared according to Islamic law. But then PNDC law 111 came and then it repealed that section. It scraped off that section. Meaning now, as we speak in Ghana now, if a Muslim dies without making a will to say specifically that his estate should be distributed according to Islamic law, it is not going to be distributed according to Islamic law because PNDC law 111 had come to cancel the section 10 of Cap 129 of the 1907 law. So now, what this, legal paper is trying to say is that it is now bringing into system, a law, a bill, an act that will help, to regulate and help make things better for Muslims. So that's the idea behind this new law. If you read, the act or the bill, sorry. So the bill is user-friendly for institutions and regulating framework for the regulation of Muslim marriages and divorce. That's what they said. It's also going to establish a Muslim marriage and divorce registry in each district. If you look at the bill, it is a very, very, very good opportunity for us Muslims to use. Wallahi, it's a good opportunity. Let's sit down very, very well. The need for us to have, a national stakeholder meeting of Muslims on this, wallahi, is very, very important. It is an opportunity that is going to open bigger doors for us in the governance structure from the judiciary point of view in our country. It's an opportunity. Wallahi, let's not take it as if it's only, marriage and divorce. Because if registries are going to be opened in every district of this country, it's an opportunity for us in the district assembly. Part of the bill is about licensing of imams. Big opportunity. Muslim family law arbitration or counseling units. Very, very important. So the law is an opportunity for us to look at other issues that will help us to be better, to improve upon the kind of situations that we found ourselves in. I'm just going to go through some of the places that I think are very, very important to me, and we might not be able to cover all because I just want us to have just 1 hour session on this one. We might continue tomorrow, inshallah. Section 3 talks about licensing of places of marriages. Registration of mosques, masajid, is very, very important. We need to register our masajid. They must be duly registered. It's very important. Some masajids are registered, some are not registered. So if a place where the marriage can be, officiated, in licensing, the law is saying that those places, whether they are of worship or of gathering of Muslims, must be licensed, must be registered. So it's an opportunity for us to get more recognition. It is an opportunity for us to know the number of masajid we have. It's an opportunity for us to know how strong we are. It's an opportunity for us to know the kind of, community centers we have. It's an opportunity for us to reorganize the way our masajids are run. That's what I'm saying. Let's not take it as if it's just about marriage and divorce. If we are going to license our masajid, it means that the way we are going to run our masajid is going to be improved. Because if the masajid is registered, if the masajid are registered, then it means proper management and then proper administration. But if it is not registered, we leave it anyhow. It becomes people's, inheritance and properties, and they do it with whatever they want to do. But then if we have the masajid registered, so let's use this opportunity. The law is saying any place that is going to officiate a marriage within this bill should be registered. So let's start thinking about that. The second part is that place must have a Muslim family law arbitration or counseling unit, or it is affiliated to one. So the masajid that we are in should have Muslim family law arbitration or counseling units. And these are key components that registration means we pay tax. Then pay the taxes. You're already paying taxes. It's leak. You're already paying taxes. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? If things are going to be better, we need to be a part and parcel of the government. So pay the taxes. We need to have, Muslim family law arbitration or counseling units in our masajid. And I've said this time and time again that the masajid is not only about, finance committee where they only gather money, fi sabilillahi, kudin fitilla masalachi. No. Our masajid are beyond that. Our masajid should have multiple committees. You should have the educational committee. You should have the occupation committee. You should have the counseling committee. You should have the reconciliation committee. You should have the counseling committee. So this law is going to help us enact some of these things. Because you know very well that few of us have the opportunity to go through counseling before we get married. Even though our sheikhs are doing these things, part of what they do, they counsel us, they talk to us, but then it's not well structured in a manner whereby you have, laws, you have, books, you have registry, you have, the sheikhs knowing that, yes, this is a full-time job that they're doing. So it's important we start enacting that. This issue of family law arbitration shouldn't be only for the office of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah with Sheikh Omar, or with the office of the National Chief Imam, or other offices. No. Every masjid in a community must have something like that. I live in Kaswa. I may not have the laxity of time to move from Kaswa to come to Nima to the office of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah to report a case or to have an issue, looked into. So if my masjid in Kaswa has that Muslim family law arbitration and counseling units, and the imam there gets adequate training on, counseling, which is very, very important. Here in America, I've been fortunate enough to observe a number of marriages. Last year when I came, I officiated a marriage ceremony on behalf of the imam. That imam counseled them. They went through counseling before they got married. And then we went to the marriage. And then out of respect, he asked me to officiate the marriage. But in the end, he signed the documents. I have been a witness to marriages here in America. Signed documents. The documents are from the office of the mayor or the law. You will see it. You see United States of America on the marriage form. The officiating imam signs. The bride, the groom, they sign. Their witnesses sign. And then there's a seal on it. And the imams are regulated. They are licensed. And the imams have a record of every form that they officiate every marriage. If you go back to the masjid of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you realize that the masjid had all these, all these facilities, all these services. But the moment we turn Islam into only 5 daily prayers and Azmi Ramadan, then we have some of these problems. So it's very, very important that we look at this. Muslim family law arbitration and counseling unit is very, very important. And our books, Islamic law books, are full of this information. There's no need for us to go for any other cultures, counseling. Our books are there. Because our marriage is different, totally different from other people's method of marriage. Our duties and responsibilities are different from other people's duties and responsibilities when it comes to marriage. So we need to tailor-suit it. So that's why I'm saying our leaders should have a look at this bill very, very well. Because it's an opportunity for us to improve upon a lot of things. We're having too much divorce rates in our communities because most of us get married without any counseling. We're getting married because our friends are getting married. We're getting married not knowing our duties and our responsibilities. Some of us are getting married because peers are pressuring us to get married. Some of us are getting married because it is fancy. Some of us are getting married all because we want to have sex, and that's it. So if our spouses are not good in bed, we get problems. So it's very, very important my sheikh, my uncle Imam Abbas is here. They're listening to us. They know these things. It's an opportunity for us to have all these things because Imam Abbas is a counselor. He's into all these things. Is divorce haram? Divorce is not haram. I'll come to that. So it's important. So that is session 3. We don't want to waste much time. Then session 4 talks about licensing of imams. This is another big issue. Licensing of imams. Meaning not every imam can just get up and officiate a marriage in Ghana. It's important. Licensing of imams. How would the licensing be done? They mentioned some points here, which I think is very, very important. That session 4 talks about license of imam, requisite religious qualification, and has demonstrable expertise in issues of family law. In the conditions of license, they said, provide credible evidence of the religious qualification attained. Religious qualification attained. It means the imam has gone through training, whether in Ghana or outside Ghana, he has a certificate. Is that enough? Sometimes some of our imams have not gone anywhere to study. They went through the informal way of studying, and they are better than some of us who have gone outside and have degrees in Islamic law. It's true. So if they don't have, what is the yardstick for measuring the credibility of the imams who are going to officiate? It's very important. I think our leaders must look into that and also find something very, very concrete. It shouldn't be sathi, surface. It should be something that is clearly spelled out. And this brings to the fore the issue concerning Islamic legal studies in Ghana. If there must be provision of credible evidence of the religious qualification attained by that imam, then it is important, Muslims, you have to look at our educational structures. And I think this is also an opportunity for us to open our schools. You know, it's very pathetic that if you want to study Islam, to get a degree, Legon has religious studies. Yes, our universities have religious studies. Yes, it is true, but it's in the English language. That is not in any way to undermine those who have studied Islam in the English language, no. But then you and I know that to be an astute Islamic, legal brain, you need to understand Arabic language and then read Islam in Arabiya. That's it. You need to have that. So it's an opportunity for us to seek to put in place our own Islamic universities. Niger has an Islamic university. Benin has an Islamic university. Cote d'Ivoire has an Islamic university. Mali has an Islamic university. When I say Islamic university, I mean where full-time Islamic law is being taught in the Arabic language. Yes, we have the Islamic University in Ghana. Yes, we have it. But then it's not a full-fledged Islamic university where you go and then the different schools of thought are taught. Tafsir is taught, hadith is taught, mantiq is taught. It's not like that. We need to have a look at that because Ghana is bigger than where we are now. Muslims in Ghana, with all the NGOs, Muslim NGOs we have in this country, there's a need for them to bring all their heads together and see how best we can get funds from outside to come and build it here. Because I'm telling you, honestly, I don't believe that we'll be able to generate funds in the country in the next 50 years to build an Islamic university. Honestly, we need to tell ourselves the truth. For us to build an Islamic university in Ghana that teaches Islamic law from undergrad to PhD in the next 50 years, personally, I think it's a long way from here. Because the Islamic university I studied in Niger was established by the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. that has its headquarters in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. It is the second biggest intergovernmental organization after the UN. Hear me again. The second biggest intergovernmental organization after the United Nations is the OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation. They built the Islamic University in Niger. On the same compound, we have from nursery, kindergarten to PhD. We have about 3,000 students there studying. So it's very important, Muslims in Ghana, we channel some of our energies to OIC. My elder brothers with the Ghana Islamic Banking Force, I try as much as possible to see how best we can get something from that. And very soon I'll post a flyer on they are going to have a webinar on issues concerning Islamic banking in Ghana, and I'll go to post it very soon, and then you get the opportunity to listen to the kind of ideas that they have. I personally don't see any significant impact the Ghana government is going to contribute to ensure the safety and management of our mosques. No, we don't need any government to ensure the safety and management of your mosques. We must ensure the safety and management of our mosques. That's it. If the government is going to give us security for the mosque, fine. But the management of mosque is our business. You don't need any government to come and manage your mosque for us. So it's very, very important. We can do that as Ummah, but sectarianism will be the impediment. Yes, I agree with you. But then it's also an opportunity for us to challenge ourselves. My other brother and uncle, anyway, let me extend my condolences to you. With Almighty Allah, forgive our sister, our auntie. With Almighty Allah, grant her mercy. May Almighty Allah include her in the people of Jannah, and may He also grant you patience and the reward of patience. The Christians in Ghana also have sectarianism. But then, on the individual sectarianism, they are building things. The Anglicans have their own universities. The Methodists have their own university. The Catholics have their own university. The Presbyterians have their own university. They have more sects in Ghana than we do. The Christians have more sects in Ghana than we Muslims do. But then, they are building it individually. Why can't Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah also build our own university? Why can't Tijani also build their own universities? The Ahmadiyyas are doing it. They are building their schools. They are building their hospitals. So I think it's very, very important that we have a second look at the way things are going in our country as Muslims. Because I believe this bill is a wake-up call for us on different levels, on different facets of our lives as Muslims. It's very, very important. If issues of licensing of imams comes in, then the knowledge and then the education of imams becomes very, very important. Not only on issues concerning Sharia, but then other issues concerning counseling, other issues concerning education, other issues concerning management, other issues concerning administration. If we are already managing our mosque, why felt the need to involve the government? You have to involve the government since you are living in a country and the government runs things. Definitely, you can't run away from government unless you want to be a rogue. If you're living in a country, definitely you will have to deal with government, whether you like it or not. And the governments are going to regulate things. So you don't have to sit on the fences. You have to be there at the decision making so that decisions will not be taken on your behalf. If the governments are terrible, that doesn't mean that we should also fold our arms and then look at them. They will enact laws that will beat us. So we need to be there. We need to find ourselves there at the decision-making points. It's very, very important. So licensing of imams means education of imams. Let's get it. Let's get it. And there is no better time for us to have a deeper look at this than this time whereby we have all kinds of imams roaming about. Some imams with portfolio, others without portfolio. Some Google sheikhs and some Facebook muftis and some people who spill anything they want to spill because they are in front of the camera and then they have free internet. It's an opportunity for us to have educated imams, not just people who can read Arabic or read any translation and then they go anyhow or they say anything they want. So it's very, very important we look at this. Licensing of imams, provision of credible evidence of the religious qualification attained by an imam. Let me tell you something here in America that I've witnessed. When they hire imams and they sign the contracts, the imam must provide evidence that shows that he is qualified to be an imam. You must provide evidence that you are qualified to be an imam. And it's very important in our time now. Gone were the days of our fathers and our grandfathers, whereby imams, you see them, yes, these are imams. With all due respect, our time now, things are a little bit jammed up. You'll agree with me that a lot of us are fake imams. With all due respect. With all due respect. A lot of us don't have, the capability to sit in front of people to teach them Islam. And permit me, with all due respect, this is the reality that we have. Sometimes I watch some, people on social media and some of the things that they say, I just have to hold my head and say, what are these people saying? So, when we talk about provision of credible evidence for religious qualification, it's about the education of imams, and that's it. We need to go back to the drawing board to look at it carefully. The education of our imams. And it's not only about, as I said, Sharia, Hadith, Tafsir. No. Even though the Quran has been mentioned of issues about counseling, about administration, about management, you need to also study it as a science. Yes, you need to study it as a science. It's not about the fact that you can read the Quran and interpret the Hadith. That means you are an expert in every field. No, you need to also take courses on management. You need to take courses on administration. You need to take courses on psychology. You need to. So it's an opportunity for us to upgrade our imams and our imams to upgrade themselves. It is not an indictment. Let's not see it as an indictment. Let's not see it as a fight against imams. No. It's an opportunity for our imams to read deeper, to research more, to be able to deal with contemporary issues. I've been in the US for 3 months, and the kind of questions people ask me, I need to start doing a whole different form of reading because the society here is different from where I'm coming from. Issues of atheism. Issues of atheism. Muslim children are now beginning to become atheists. They don't believe Allah exists. They are asking these questions. And the trending issues of the past few days is looking us in the face. So it's important that we open up to these issues and get clear, straightforward issues. So licensing of imams is broad. I can't speak about it, throughout. Then comes provide certification in writing from the national leader of the Muslim grouping or school of Islamic, jurisprudence to which the applicant belongs to. That's another leeway for us, especially not all of our imams will get to go to the Medinas, the Azhar, the Kuwaits, the Nigers, the Sudans to go and study. Some of them study at home and they are very good, very, very good. Not necessarily the fact that others have gone, to the Arab Gulf to go and study, that makes them better than those who didn't go to the Arab countries, or those who have studied at home are, less important or less, qualified than those who have gone outside. No, not at all. There's nothing to prove that. So someone might not have gone through, a clear form of Islamic education whereby there are certificates, whereby there are ijazas, whereby there are shahadats for the person to use. He might have studied under a sheikh at home, read all the necessary books, understand all things, and then he is a qualified imam. But he doesn't have a certificate. So what does he do? Then there is a leeway. They've opened an opportunity. Those imams who have not, gone outside to study or gone through, a structured form of education to get a certificate. Let me tell you, when I went to first year Islamic University in Niger, there was a man in level 400 whose beard was all gray, white. Sheikh Adrawi. He is an astute scholar. He's from Nigeria. But he came to study in Niger because he wants a certificate. I quite remember very, very well that after classes, students queue in front of his room to take studies. Students will queue in front of his room with their books to go and study with him. And I was in the same room with one of his classmates. They were in level 400, Dr. Musa Ali Taqiyuddin, who is in Kumasi. He was his classmate. He tells you sometimes they are in class and then the doctors will be teaching, and then the doctor will look at him and say, Sheikh, this thing that I have said, is it like that? Then you say yes, and then the professor will continue. He doesn't have a first degree at all at that time. But then when he raises his hands to talk in class, it is a whole session. So some of these people, they didn't go to any Arab country, they didn't go to any university, any Islamic university to study. They went through the normal traditional way of studying, but then because of certification, they have to go to the universities to get a certificate. So it's very, very important that this part, that certification is provided in writing. So if you belong to Ahlus Sunnah Wal Jama'ah, a certificate is given to you. If you go to Tijaniya Muslim movement, a certificate is given to you from the head of that institution. It's also a leeway. But then, okay, inshallah, my uncle will speak about that after the program. No problem. So, it's also another opportunity for us to structure our national offices very, very well. The office of a national chief imam, the office of Ahlus Sunnah Wal Jama'ah, the office of the Tijaniya Muslim movement, we have to have a look at it very well. Because if it is in the law that the leaders of these national organizations will have to, sign, give you a written certification. But then I have a question here. What if I don't belong to any national organization? And I don't have, a certificate from any credible university or any certificates to prove that I'm qualified. And I don't belong to Ahlus Sunnah Wal Jama'ah. I don't belong to Tijaniya. I'm alone. What happens? I think it's something that the leaders can have a look at it. So that is number 5. And number 8. Number 8 is requirement for validity of a Muslim marriage. The prospective age of the spouse. 18 years old. I think this is another problem. Seriously, I believe it's a problem. 18 years old. If the person is not 18 years old, then the person cannot get married. That's a problem. Seriously, because in our communities, 12-year-olds are now giving birth. They are not practicing marriage. It's not only, the monopoly of the Muslim communities. It is a problem we are facing. Teenage pregnancy is on the high. 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds are already experimenting. How can we solve such a problem if we've already benchmarked the age of marriage to be 18 years? So if my 12-year-old daughter or my 14-year-old daughter is sexually active, she has the next 6 years to be practicing before she gets to the age of 18 to get married. She's already a veteran. We all know abstinence is not working. They can't, because our atmosphere is already sexually charged. Our music is sexually charged. Our radio programs sexually charged. Our television programs sexually charged. We have aphrodisiacs being displayed in our TV, on our radio, even in cars. You board a public bus and then someone climbs up and then he's advertising aphrodisiacs. So it has been proven that those things do not work. So let's have a look at it. It's not only, in respect to the acts, but then as a country, as a whole. The 18-year age benchmark of marriage is not sustainable. The 16-year age of consent itself is I don't know how to call it. A 16-year-old can have sex, but then she's not entitled to get married. And 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds are having sex, they are getting pregnant. I know of a 14-year-old who has multiple abortion history. She was not raped. She had consensual sex with someone older than her. And not once, not twice. It is a cancer in our communities. So benchmarking 18 years as, the age for marriage is not sustainable. Because if you watch teenage pregnancies on the high, some few months ago, the Federation of Muslim Women Association of Ghana, FOMWAG, invited me for a roundtable discussion concerning rights of children in Islam. And I wrote a paper on that. Let me just read portions of that to you. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of Child defines a child as anybody below the age of 18. Inadvertently, anybody married below this age is considered, any marriage below this age is considered child marriage and should be outlawed and the perpetrators punished. There hasn't been a specific age for early marriage. It could be before or after 18, depending on some factors and criteria. So the United Nations law tells us that children, anybody below the age of 18 is a child, and anybody who marries below the age of 18 should be punished, and the perpetrators must be punished. More than 200,000 minors were married in the United States between 2000 and 2015. In the United States alone, we have more than 200,000 minors, meaning people who got married below the age of 18. CARE International defines forced marriages when one or both parties are coerced or not consented to in a marriage. They further provided some statistics. 37,000 marriages below the age of 18 happens daily. 37,000 marriages below the age of 18 happens daily. 700 million women and 150 million men have been married below the age of 18, with 1/3 of the number below 15 years, meaning 700 million women and 150 million men below the age of 18 are married in the world. And 1/3 of the number is below 15, because it means we have almost 250 million people who are married and they are below the age of 15 years in the world. In developed nations, 1 in 3 below the age of 18 is married, and 1 in 9 below 15. So you come to the Western world, these countries that are developed, you have 1 out of every 3 people in the Western world has been married before the age of 18 before. And 1 out of 9 is married below the age of 15. In South Asia, 45% are married below the age of 18. 39% in Sub-Saharan Africa. 23% in Latin America and Caribbean islands. 18% in the Middle East and North Africa. The rates of Europe and America are not mentioned. You see how smart they are? They didn't mention their rates. They mentioned the rates of the rest of the world, but then they didn't mention their rates. According to data collected from 41 states in America, 200,000 minors, people below the age of 18 in the United States, between 2000 and 2015, they had 200,000 people getting married below the age of 18. In May 2018, just 2 years ago, Delaware, a state in the United States, became the first state in the US to make it illegal for anyone under age 18 to get married. It means as at 2018, in the United States, anybody below the age of 18 can get married. In the US, it's only 2 years ago that Delaware is between, New Jersey and then Philadelphia, that area. In Pennsylvania, New Jersey and Pennsylvania, Delaware. It's only just 2 years ago that they said anybody below the age of 18 cannot get married. It is illegal, even with parental consent. New Jersey followed in June 2018. According to a Kansas City Stars series of child marriage in the US, Missouri has the most lenient law in the nation, allowing 15-year-olds to get married. In the state of Missouri, 15-year-olds can get married in the United States. In America, in the state of Missouri, 15-year-olds can get married, and only one parent's signature is required. More than 1,000 15-year-olds have been married in Missouri since 1999. Even children ages 14, 13, and 12 can marry in Missouri. In the state of Missouri, 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and 12-year-olds can get married. It's one out of 25 states with no minimum age requirement. In the United States, there are 25 states out of the 50. 25 do not have any minimum age of marriage. For those 14 and younger, a judge's consent is required. A review of some 50,000 marriages shows how Missouri's lax law has for years turned the state into a destination wedding spot for 15-year-old child brides, often rushing to get married. This is the Western world. So that's why I said this 18-year-old issue is very, very problematic. We need to have a look at it because it's not sustainable. People are already sexually active and then they are practicing it. Our Muslim, law and tradition abhors sex before marriage. And we have 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds who are already experimenting. So how do we deal with that? It's not only, particular or peculiar to the Muslim communities. You go to other non-Muslim communities in Ghana and you find teenage pregnancies. The National Population Council, February 2018, child marriage statistics in Ghana, 2018. Listen very well. In international ranking, Ghana is 61 in the world on child marriages. If you rank the countries according to child marriages, where people get married below the age of 18, Ghana is 61. 5% are married by age 15. In Ghana, 5% are married by age of 15. 21% by age of 18. The proportion of the population who marry below the age of 18 is 27%. According to the Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey of 2011. In 2011, the Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey said 27% of Ghanaians are married below the age of 18. The regional rate of child marriage is The Upper East region is 39%. Western region is 36%. Upper West region is 36%. Ashanti region is 30%. Child marriage is more common in the rural areas, which is 36%, than the urban areas, which is 19%. The practice of child marriage is slowly decreasing. 1 in 5 young men today were married before age 18 compared to 1 in 3 in the early 1990s. So it is reducing. But then the problem is that the issue has to do with teenage pregnancies. People are getting pregnant as teenagers. And it is not through rape. It is not through coerced sex. It is they themselves experimenting. Because if you look at our communities and the way we are sexually charged, the kind of drinks that are being advertised on television are sexually charging, aphrodisiacs. The kind of music our musicians produce are sexually charged. The kind of movies are being produced as sexually charged movies. The kind of, you look at our atmosphere, it is sexually charged. And body no be firewood. You sit in a trotro and the woman is already dressed seductively. So the level of sexual appetite is high in our country, and it is something we have to look at it very, very well. Recently, there has been a debate concerning rape and then dressing. I don't agree with that you must rape a woman because of her dressing. That's a sickness. But then we have to look at our communities. It's not only the dressing that charges people. There are other factors that we must look at. Globally, we have 16 million girls between 15 and 19 getting pregnant every year. Every year, we have 16 million girls between the ages of 15 and 19 who are getting pregnant every year. And 1 million below the age of 15 every year. 1 million girls below the age of 15 every year are getting pregnant in the world. Between the age of 15 and 19, 16 million. The Ghana Health Service report on antenatal care registrants in 2014 reports. In 2014, the Ghana Health Service report on antenatal care registration say that the Volta region had 15%. Brong, Ahafo, and Eastern region were tied at 14%. Central, Upper West, and Western region tied at 13%. Northern and Ashanti region 11%. Greater Accra region 6%. In 2016, Upper East region had 15%. With 2% between 10 and 19 years old. So, girls at the age of 10 years are getting pregnant. In 2017, just 3 years ago, the first half of 2017, from January to June, recorded 57,000 cases of teenage pregnancy. The first half of 2017, 57,000 cases of teenage pregnancies. Ashanti region had 9,100 cases out of the 57,000. So these are the statistics that we are having. That is why I'm saying that there's the need for us to have a look at the 18-year-old marriage issue. The bone of contention now is the right age of marriage. What is the right age of marriage? Should it be per individual, or the state should sanction one specific age? They should have a look at it, because it's not working. It's not sustainable. I think in 2018, the Minister of Health, Tina Mensah, said our teenage pregnancy rate, I think, was about 12%. It has increased. In 2018, it has increased 12%. And then the Ministry of Health is trying to find ways and means of how to solve this. They've given the children condoms and it is not working. They want it raw and natural. Excuse my language, I'm very sorry. But this is the reality that we are facing. The children the people you see as children are no longer children. They are practicing things that you cannot even imagine. Come into our communities, 9:30 p.m., 10:30 p.m., and see whether the children are asleep. The parents are indoors, are asleep, but then the children are outside. What are they doing? What are 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds doing outside at 11 p.m.? They drink everything. They sniff everything. They take everything. They practice everything. So the issue of abstinence is not working. The issue of contraceptive, they don't need it. The only thing is, let's have a real look at the minimum age of marriage. It's very important. That's it. That's the only solution to this problem. Because the 18 years thing is not working. 12-year-olds are having sex and they're getting pregnant. 14-year-olds are having it. In New York City, there are some boys who I'm very close with. They are teenagers, 17, 18, Ghanaian boys. They were born in US, but they went home to live for a while. They came back to the United States and they're telling me, Sheikh, we have classmates who are 15-year-olds and then they have 2 kids here in America. 15-year-olds, they are classmates. 16-year-olds and then they have kids. You can't stop them. We've reached a time whereby you cannot shackle them. They can do whatever they want to do. So instead of shackling them, why don't we open the door and see what is the reliable solution to these problems? It's very, very important. Otherwise, we will hit our heads on the stone and they will not get a solution. Most countries in the Middle East and North Africa have minimum age for marriages. Yes, if you check the statistics, Kuwait, Qatar, Egypt, they have minimum age for marriages. 14-year-old, 15-year-olds. I'm not saying let's open the doors for everybody to get married. If you are 6-year-old, get married. If you are 10-year-old, that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is let's look at our problems and let's find solutions to them. The United Nations, child rights said anybody marrying below the age of 18 is outlawed. But in the United States here, states like Missouri accept 15-year-olds. So why can't we tailor suit ours to fit our problems? That's all I'm saying. How then do we cope with the pressing demands of high sexual urges of our teenagers? The rate of teenage pregnancy is on the high. Profane songs and films are produced daily. The level of promiscuity is high. These pregnancies occur as a result of consensual sex and not rapes. We have 10-year-old mothers. I know of a 14-year-old with multiple abortion history. 18-year-old mothers with 2-3 children. Go to Niger, I've studied in Niger, and I know of 20-year-old mothers with 2 or 3 children. I know of them personally. The men responsible for these pregnancies are either young boys not capable of taking care of themselves. Yes. The boy is 15-year-old, he's sexually charged. He has a female friend, a girlfriend who is 13-year-old or 14-year-old. She's also sexually charged. They meet in school in the toilet and they do whatever they want to do. Or they go on a pictures of holidays and in the bush they do whatever they want to do. Or they say they are going for excursions and then they meet someone and they do whatever they want to do. He is sexually charged. She is sexually charged. How do we solve this problem? This 15-year-old boy impregnates this 13-year-old girl. And then what happens? Is she going to go through abortion? Must she drop out of school because of that pregnancy? These are the questions that we need to be answered. And these are facts that all of us know. It is not rocket science. It is the reality on the ground. This 14-year-old girl, 15-year-old who is sexually active, who wants to experiment, why do we have to let her go through the ordeal of having a boyfriend or someone to hide to have her sexual fantasies? And then she's afraid of getting pregnant. If she gets pregnant, she drops out of school. Her life is damaged. This is what is happening. Girls are getting pregnant when they are in the primary schools, they are in the junior high schools, they get pregnant, they drop out of school. That is it. That is the end. Recently, I saw a video of a lady who I think is in her 20s. Excuse me, in her late 20s. She has 3 children. She dropped out of school because she got pregnant. Now she has returned back to go to senior high school because of the free SSS education. I saw a video like that. So we have to look at these problems and see how best we can solve them. So capping it off at 18 is not in our good. It doesn't help us. The men responsible for these pregnancies are either young boys not capable of taking care of themselves, or well-to-do men who deny responsibilities. We have well-to-do men, older men. He is actively working, but he has a small girlfriend, and a 14-year-old girl, a 15-year-old girl who is his girlfriend. They are actually in love, and then he's sleeping with her, and then she gets pregnant. He denies it. We all know of that senior high school headmaster whose girlfriend is one of his students, and then we all saw the videos. So these are realities that are happening. He loves her, she loves him, and then they are doing their own thing. How then do we help this girl to be in a more accommodative, situation? These single mothers bear the brunt of these calamities. Why don't we have a second look at this so-called child marriage or early marriages to safeguard the integrity and futures of our daughters? I have 3 daughters. And anytime I see a 10-year-old mother, my heart skips a beat. As I was writing this piece some 6 months ago, my 2-year-old daughter had her head on my lap. I looked at her. Why wouldn't I allow her to get married to a 15-year-old suitor when she is 12 or 13 and sexually active, and keep them both in my home and finance their education? If I have a 13-year-old daughter and she has a 16-year-old boy, they are in love, they are meeting, why don't I allow them to get married? They do their thing in the confines of the home. I finance their education. Why can't I do that? You might have problems with this suggestion. Fine, but let's bring our ideas. How can we do that? Rather than leave her to the fate of abstinence and contraceptives, which have proved useless in our current age. They are not abstaining. They are not using the contraceptives. They are getting pregnant. It is jeopardizing their future. It is jeopardizing their education. Why don't we have a second look at these things? This is all that I'm saying. Let's have a second look at these things, especially this age of 18 years. Let's have a second look. This is what I'm saying today. That's all. That's my message for you today. The 18-year age of marriage has proved unsustainable. Our girls in our communities are getting pregnant below the age of 18. And the guys who are impregnating them are 15-year-old boys, their classmates. These 15-year-old boys cannot even wear their own pants. They are the ones impregnating our daughters. Even if you force him to take care of her, he can't even take care of himself. The older men who are impregnating these young girls also deny responsibility because of whatever reputation they feel they have in the community. So how then do we solve this? The ball is in your court. My brother Malcolm is saying in high school, a 16-year-old girl had 1 kid and a 17-year-old had 3 kids. These people are sexually charged. You can't do anything about it. Did Islam stipulate age for marriage? Islam didn't stipulate any age for marriage. Islam didn't stipulate any age. And I know questions to be asked about the age of Aisha, whether she was 7, whether she was 9, whether it was... I don't think it's an issue. What I think is that let's look at it. Let's look at it critically. So, all that I'm saying is, let's look at the Muslim marriage bill. Then divorce bill is very, very important. Tomorrow, inshallah, I think we'll have to end here. Tomorrow is Zuhur, you have to go and pray. Tomorrow, inshallah, we'll look at the Muslim marriage contract. It is section 10 of the Muslim marriage contract. Section 10 of the Muslim marriage contract. We'll look at it. What's the Muslim marriage contract? Do we have anything like the Muslim marriage contract? What is it? How does it look like? And what is its, necessity? How is it? Is it important? Is it not important? So thank you very much for, being with us today. Inshallah. Let me look at some messages and see if I can respond to them. I live in Missouri. You can't marry at 15. That's what the Forbes.com said. I don't know, my sister Kim Dija Kelhatat. That's the reports I read. So you can correct us if we are wrong. It's not a debate, it's a classroom. So if the statistics that I turned out concerning Missouri are wrong, my sister, please do so and correct us. Okay? If you are still watching here, you can correct us. Thank you very much. What happened to the Waqf money that Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah took with the intention of erecting university? I don't know. I don't know about it. I'm not part of administration. I'm sorry if I can't answer that question for you. I'm very sorry. My brother, my sister Mariam says, brother, we can only, if only the rich will come together and support. It's not only about the rich, it's all of us. It's all of us. It's all of us. Is divorce haram? No, it's not haram. And there's a session for divorce. We'll talk about divorce in there. I have 1 or 2 issues, with some of the wordings in there with issues of divorce. I have 1 or 2 issues and I will discuss it, inshallah, maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. But tomorrow we will look at the Muslim marriage contract, the requirements of celebration of Muslim marriages, and then we'll look at multiple marriages, polygamy, we'll look at it, its requirements, and then the dissolution of marriage, that is divorce. Then we look at, the interstate of the marriages, we'll look at them, inshallah. Registration means we pay tax. My brother Slick Sushu, definitely we must pay those taxes. It's important we do so. If we want to be, we are already paying taxes, so it's nothing new. Anyway, thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan, brothers and sisters, for watching us. Meet us same time tomorrow, inshallah, 12 noon, Eastern time, USA, and then 4 p.m. Ghana time. And let's look at the Muslim marriage bill and divorce. Muslim marriage and divorce bill 2017. We've touched from a few, sessions in there. Session 3, session 4, session 5, session 8. We're going to look at session 10, inshallah, tomorrow. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you very much for being with us. May Almighty Allah safeguard you. May Almighty Allah bless us all. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا إنك جامع الناس ليوم لا ريب فيه إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد. ربنا إننا آمنا فاكتبنا مع الشاهدين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم.